The dancing has already begun, even before the last exam has ended. At the University of London, the diversity on view here is the university's pride. But the campaigns of its students against perceived prejudice are beginning to reveal tensions. The student bar is typically the space where students come to meet new people from different backgrounds and discuss new ideas. The worry, though, is that students in universities across Britain are opting out of the student bar and opting for a third space, safe spaces, usually used to describe meeting rooms that are exclusive for particular minority groups or genders. And many have accused these spaces of fueling segregation. And recent controversy has centred around this woman, Bahar Mustafa, a student union officer at Goldsmiths who organised an event for black women only, that her critics say discriminated against white men. And it doesn't help that she's said to have tweeted the hashtag #KillAllWhiteMen, even though it appears to have been tweeted as a joke. But speaking earlier this month, Mustafa told students the event was arranged to support the most marginalised people at the university. But not everyone agrees that safe spaces are the way to do it.
Even the moderate wings of political movements suddenly unable to even have a conversation because they're literally barred from being in the same room together. That sets up a much more confrontational, a much more aggressive, and a much more atomized political debate where we can't find the things that bring us together, we can't negotiate on our principles, but instead we are forced apart by a quite sterile conception of what political debate entails.
But the notion of safe spaces themselves, where a women's group or a BME group will say, on this campus we feel marginalised and we feel that our voice has been suppressed. We want a space where we can basically talk to each other before we talk to everybody else first. Isn't that understandable?
I think that's quite dangerous, actually. And one of the things that it does is it rules out the power of emotional imagination, of moral imagination, of our ability to say we feel compassion, we feel empathy, that we take in not just the people who are affected by an injustice, but those who aren't affected, but nevertheless want to help.
But concerns about division are not limited to the University of London. These pictures are of ethnic minority students from leading universities, raising awareness about the perceived prejudice they faced on their campuses. Just on Friday, an Oxford Union event promoted colonial cocktails with pictures of enslavement. Oxford University, a separate entity to the Oxford Union, said there is no place for the kind of crass and insensitive attitude that the material displayed, and that had this happened on university premises, immediate action would have been taken. On social media, the Oxford Union itself issued a profuse apology, calling it an error of judgment that will not be repeated. The post first gained attention after being posted on social media by this man.
I think this reaffirms the need for there to be safe spaces and independent spaces for black students at Oxford and elsewhere to address the issues that face them.
But isn't it wrong to exclude people based on their race or their gender from a space in a university which is supposed to be a forum for free speech and the sharing of ideas that you don't agree with or find offensive?
So if we take women, if we take racially minoritized groups, if we take LGBT people, we can see that they are people who are in the marginal group in society. They're not in the dominant group. And therefore, in order to address the injustices they face, one of the good things they can have are spaces to discuss them and organise them out.
Nobody wants racial barriers at our universities, but despite these bohemian pictures, universities have always been places of furious difference. The challenge is balancing that difference with building dialogue.